Hello Internet, and welcome to another translation of one of my German videos. Today is gonna be quite tough for me because I'm totally sober. I ran out of beer. I usually do these slightly drunk because it greatly improves my English. But I'll try to do my very best, and I hope you'll understand me anyways. Today I'm gonna talk to you about this machine you see right here. It's basically my new favorite toy, and it's called the 114-in-1 Extreme. And it was built by Tiny Arcade Machines. They are located in Spain, and they basically custom build these machines for their customers. And this is pretty much the high-end version, the most expensive one you can buy basically. They have a lot of different options, but I decided if I'm gonna buy an arcade machine, I'm gonna go for the very best. And I wasn't disappointed at all. This thing basically has very great materials built in. The buttons are super clicky, and the joysticks have a nice robust feel to them. This thing is gonna last a while. And I decided to get this thing. I mean, there's a lot of options for emulation these days, but this looked like the very best option for me. I took quite a while to research the internet, and I decided that this might be the best thing you can buy to play old video games. Basically, the 114-in-1 Extreme arcade machine is a Windows 10 PC with a built-in screen and with lots of customization to allow you to play old-school video games from different video game eras basically. And of course it has controls for 2 players, and also quite a few other extras built in, like buttons on the side to allow you to play pinball machines, and other nice stuff like volume controls in the front. I don't know a lot about PCs because I've been a console gamer all of my life, but I'll put up the link in the description to the website so you can check it out for yourself. But I can tell you a couple of specs right now. This is a MAME arcade machine with an Intel i5 quad-core 3.5 GHz, ultra-durable UEFI MB, 8GB DDR3, 2 HDs, 1 SSD with 128 GB and a 4 TB HDD, a GeForce NVIDIA 2GB DDR5. None of this means crap to me. If you are into PCs, it probably means stuff to you. So, well, it looks as if it's powerful enough to handle pretty much any system that came out until like 2008, 9, maybe 10. And I'm gonna give you my impression of how well the different systems run on this a little bit later. You are probably interested in finding out how expensive this thing is, and I actually paid 2,800 euros with shipping and handling. They ship worldwide. I have no idea what they charge for sending one of these to the US, but it was quite expensive to get it from Spain to here. So let's find out how much 2,800 euros is. Hey Google, how many dollars is 2,800 euros?
2,800 euros is approximately 3,243 United States dollars and 24 cents.
So, now you know. Well, now I'm broke, but I have cool toys. Pretty much the story of my life. The great thing about this machine is that I could choose a lot of options when designing it. I basically picked blue buttons that light up, and also the designs on the side, like the Mario stuff. I could also choose that, and a couple of other things as well. So it's exactly as I wanted it. If you don't want to pay the price of a used car on an emulation station, then there is, of course, a couple of different options. Tiny arcade machines offers some great alternatives, like tabletop machines, which are a lot cheaper than this one. And also you could always manufacture something yourself out of a RetroPie or something similar. But it won't give you the same warm feeling I get in my heart every time I start up my machine. How well emulation works always depends on the hardware as well as on the software. So let's take a close look at the software of this machine. And this basically, as the name says, has 114 different emulators for different systems on it. So that's quite a lot. And it also comes with the ROMs. And I, as an old school gamer, I was always against downloading ROMs from the internet, or in this case, basically purchasing a machine where between 67 and 68,000 ROMs are already basically on the hard drive. But I recently changed my opinion on all of that. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you know that I have a huge collection of physical video games, and I'll still be a fan of those, but this machine basically gives me the option to check out stuff that I'm interested in before buying it. That's one of the reasons I bought it. And another one is there is a lot of games out there that are not available for any home consoles, especially like old arcade machines, so I can play those as well. And I don't have any moral problems with that. I can live with that these days. There's basically an emulator for any old system you can think of that is older than 10 years. From the video game Stone Age, like the old Ataris, up to the Wii or the Nintendo DS. I don't know which of those came earlier. Basically everything is here. I even found a couple of systems I've never heard of, and that's quite amazing to me because I dedicate most of my life to playing video games and collecting video game consoles and games. As a console gamer, it was extremely nice for me that this thing requires no setup whatsoever. You basically just start it and you can jump right into any game you want to play. It's super easy, it's super comfortable, and that's especially due to a front end they use called Hyperspin, which basically organizes all of the systems, so it's easy to flip through all of them. If you are a PC gamer and you use emulators, you've probably heard of this before. It was totally new to me, and it was amazing to me how well organized it is and how easy it is to access everything. As I mentioned before, the build quality on this is quite amazing, and that is also true for the built-in speakers and the controls which allow you to tweak the sound to your comfort. There is absolutely no need to hook up any external speakers to this, even though you do have the option, but this thing gets loud enough on its own, as I will demonstrate right now. No product is perfect, and there's actually one big thing I don't like about this hardware, and that is the number and the placement of the outputs. Basically, it's all located under the machine. It would have been so much nicer if they could have put it on the side, but they probably decided against that for aesthetic reasons. It just looks cooler if the machine is nice and clean without any holes in it. But it's really hard to access, especially if you have to plug in stuff. And yeah, there's only 3 outputs. One is, of course, sound. So as I said, there's no necessity to plug in any external speakers, but maybe headphones if you live with other people and don't want to bother them. And then there is also a USB in, which you need to hook up USB controllers for the more modern systems because they need an analog stick. And then there is also one HDMI out. Yeah, that's not a lot, especially the USB, the one USB. That can be quite bothersome because you need to hook up a hub in order to hook up multiple things, basically, especially if you want to play with 2 players. The HDMI out is a nice addition, but it's only basically necessary to capture some footage of the games because the picture quality on this is great. There's no need to hook up a bigger TV, and it actually makes the experience less fun if you're not standing right in front of an old school looking arcade machine, of course with modern technology built in. As you can see, I captured a lot of stuff for this video, but I have to out myself again as a PC idiot. At first, when I tried to capture this, the sound output only came through the audio jack, and that sounded quite horrible. And as soon as I got it running through the HDMI, the quality of the picture was weird. I mean, the picture is warped, as you can see here, and yeah, that's my fault. There's probably somewhere in the PC settings that I could set it right, but I'm just not able to, and I wasn't willing to spend more time on that. So sorry about that. In reality, the picture is always the right size, but as you can see it here, it looks a little warped. Sorry. The quality of the emulation differs quite a bit from system to system, and that's because some of these emulators have been in development for well over a decade, and the longer they have been playing around with those, basically the better it all works. You can say that anything that is up to 16-bit or 8-bit, like all the old Nintendo systems, Sega Master System, Genesis, Super Nintendo, or whatever, they basically work flawlessly. There is no errors that can be seen in the emulation. Even stuff that wouldn't work on many of those standalone emulation machines you can buy, those cheap ones on eBay, which come preloaded with a couple of 100 games. I mean, usually there's always a couple of things that don't work on those, but here everything works up to 16-bit. After that, it can get a little buggy. Most stuff is still playable, but when you come to the Sega Saturn, to the Nintendo 64, the Sony PlayStation, then you tend to see the first errors in graphics. For me, it is pretty much impossible to determine what makes a game run great and what makes it pretty much unplayable. I mean, one of the big reasons I bought this thing is that I got tired of hooking up all of my old consoles all the time whenever I wanted to play a particular game. And mostly my plan succeeded, but there's some problems still. For example, Super Mario 64 on Nintendo 64 runs basically perfectly except for some minor graphical glitches. But Pokemon Snap, which I was really looking forward to playing through again, doesn't work. It looks fine graphically, no problems at all, but for some reason the analog stick doesn't work. So I still have to dig out my N64 from the basement and have to hook it up again if I want to play it again. Yeah, kinda sucks, but still, as I said before, a lot of stuff is playable here, and basically, if you wanted to play through all of it, it would take you a lifetime, possibly 2. There are a couple of peripherals you really need to get the full enjoyment out of this machine, and that would be a USB hub with 2 Xbox 360 style controllers with USB cables. These are the ones that are recommended for this machine, but you should also get a mouse and a keyboard for all those old school shooters, and also for adventure games by Sierra or by LucasArts. Those all run perfectly well on here, and so you might want to invest in that. Steering wheels, light guns and lots of other accessories usually should work as well, but I didn't buy any of those yet because, as I mentioned before, I blew all of my money on this machine. There'll always be a couple of games that won't be playable, like stuff like Samba de Amigo, which requires special controllers, and some arcade games which came in cabinets that also had special controllers. But oh well. Still, most of it can be made to work if you have the right stuff attached to the machine. Let's talk about the different systems some more, because that's basically the most interesting part of this. The PlayStation 2, I basically just picked the most graphically demanding game, and that was God of War 2, so I tested that out for a bit. Looks amazing on this machine. Problem is, analog stick doesn't work just on like it didn't on Pokemon Snap. I'm quite sure this can be tweaked. I could go into the settings and play around with that, but I wanted to give you an impression of the machine as it came out of the box right now without me doing anything to it. And yeah, it looks like the emulation is awesome on the PlayStation 2, even on the most graphically demanding game, but I just couldn't play through the game. Too bad. But there is other stuff that works great. I was especially happy about the different pinball simulations, because this machine is set up just right for that with the 2 buttons on the side. It gives you a really great feeling of playing an actual pinball machine. Even though on the graphically more demanding tables I noticed a little bit of lag, but with some time to practice it's not a big problem. Then there is some really funny stuff on here, like Mugen. I have no idea what that stands for, but it's basically a fan project where they took like different fighting game engines and basically just put any kind of characters in there, and a lot of fun can be had with that, because some of those battles you can fight here are ridiculous, like pitting Homer Simpson against Galactus from the Marvel comics and other ridiculous stuff like that. It's always really funny, and there's a huge variety. I mean, this can be played for days and days on end, no problem whatsoever. To sum it all up, this machine is awesome. I don't regret buying it at all, even though the price is a little steep. And as I said before, I had some complaints about the design, especially the inputs and outputs, which are located underneath the machine. But those are basically minor criticisms. This thing offers you games for decades, basically, and so it was a great purchase for me. And yeah. I don't really care that some of those games don't work perfectly. I don't care that Ryo Hazuki in Shenmue is missing a couple of polygons in his hair. That's not a big problem. Still a lot of fun can be had with this, especially if you have friends over and everybody has a favorite game from back in the day, and you can always look, well, is it on there? And usually, yeah, that it is. So everybody can have fun with this. And that's it, my short review or first impression, whatever you want to call it, of the 114-in-1 Extreme by Tiny Arcade Machines. By the way, I really like this company who made this. They're awesome people. They respond to any questions you have within a very short time, and they're super friendly, even if you ask stupid questions like I had to do because I don't know anything about PCs. And yeah, if you want to know more about this, just ask me in the comments. I'm more than willing to make a follow-up of this video. Nobody asked anything in the German version of this video, but maybe you want to know something particular about a certain system or a certain game. Then I'm really happy to answer it. I guess there's nothing more to say except If you thought the video sucked, don't forget to unsubscribe, leave a dislike, and please don't forget to call me Hitler in the comments because of my accent. Alright, have fun gaming. I hope to see you around. Goodbye.